Hello, welcome to Swag with Lady Kim, Servants with the Attributes of God. We're glad that you joined us today, and we have a wonderful guest that is joining us also. This is Shanda Lewis, and so Shanda Lewis is founder of Restoration Foundation for Victims.
Yes.
Restoration Foundation for Victims.
Yes, ma'am.
And so she's going to tell us a little bit about her foundation and when she formed it. Also, as they say, just to put it out there, Sister Shanda, Evangelist Shanda, Mother Shanda, a grandmother Shanda wears many hats. And so we're going to talk about that as well. For us as women, it's interesting that we do many things. We work outside of the home. We're mothers, we're grandmothers, we're career women. We have foundations that we're establishing. And so with that, we know that God helps us to do all the things that we do. But we'll talk a little bit about buckets. And that's a terminology that you use that really does help you to manage everything that God has placed in your life to do. So welcome. We're so glad to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit first about Restoration Foundation.
Restoration Foundation for Victims is a foundation that helps women and children who have been sexually assaulted, whether that's been through childhood molestation, date rape, marital rape, and we try to get them from an unhealthy state to a healthy state.
Awesome. So in that, do you have small group meetings? Do you have some type of third-party intervention? How do they find you? How do they find the services that you offer? And then what do you do to help them walk through deliverance, help them to overcome the situations and circumstances that they have been in?
And we do all of the above.
Awesome.
We do some small groups, a lot of, right now God has me doing a lot of going out into different establishments. I go into the prisons to help women who have been raped. And sometimes they have been, they're repeat offenders because they don't understand the root problem of what they're going through.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that we enjoy doing is going into the prisons and talking to some of those individuals. And also, we do individuals. I go out, we'll have a day with them, a day of pampering with them so we can take them to different things. Because, you know, you've gone through a traumatic experience.
Yes.
So we want to have a way to help them to hone that in. You know, you don't have to be a product of what you've gone through, but understand that you're no longer a victim, and tear down some of those walls to get them to a healthy state.
Excellent. So then actually that I wasn't aware of the ministry that goes into the prisons. And I say ministry, I use that because Restoration Foundation, I know that it's a foundation that you've established, and I believe it's a nonprofit organization.
Correct.
That you have established as well. And so this is another way that we see servants with the attributes of God begin to go outside of the four walls of the church and into the community. Not only do you go into the community, you're going into the prisons. And certainly there's a great need for ministry and support for those persons, men and women, that are in our prison system. And you're right, so many times it's what's at the root. That's something that I say, that I teach, that I talk about, that there are things at the root. Once we get to the root cause of what is causing the behavior or the outer action, then you can begin to bring healing. You know what to pray for, and then that you can restore. So I know that that's one part of your life and your world and what you do. You are also a graduate of South High School here in Denver, Colorado. So you are a product of DPS. Yes, good things come from DPS. And so that's awesome as well. You are also a mother.
I am a mother of two.
A mother of two and a grandmother of
7.
A grandmother of 7. And you wear that title of mother and grandmother proudly.
Yes, I do. And a wife of 27 years.
Amen. A wife of 27 years. Now that right there is awesome in and of itself. So share a little bit about how you do all that you do. And I mentioned earlier, you talk about putting things in buckets, and that's kind of how you organize and
Yes.
how you stay focused.
Exactly.
So share a little bit about that concept of buckets.
Absolutely. So most people say they wear many hats,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
wear buckets. So I understand what my different buckets are, and understand when they get full that I need to empty a little bit out of that
Wow.
bucket. So I'm not overwhelmed. I try to stay calm, cool, and collected. And looked at the different buckets that I have for different things that I do. So I look in that bucket, but it helps me to stay, focused.
So when you say, tell me a little bit more about when you say you go to the bucket and you empty out. What does that look like?
So say for instance, like today, I have plenty of buckets to fill, and understanding that, I have to have some time for Shanda.
Yes,
so I look
yes.
at those individual buckets that I have to do today, and just know that I also have to refresh my mind so that I'm always refreshed for other people.
Excellent. So now let me just say, how many buckets do you typically deal with in a day? In a day.
Oh, that can vary from time to time, but pretty much I balance, balance is a great word, about 6 buckets a day.
6 buckets a day.
Yes,
Wow.
ma'am.
You are Wonder Woman.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
Yes,
are. And with the
ma'am.
help of the Lord,
Yes.
that's how we all accomplish the things that we accomplish. So also I know that you graduated magna cum laude. Amen. God is a good God.
Yes, He is.
From the University of
Minnesota School of Theology. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. And so with that bucket, I'm sure that bucket, I do know that you here at Zion Temple Church are the Christian Education Director.
Yes, I am.
And so you also teach and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yes, ma'am.
And so with that bucket, share a little bit how ministry inside the church and then outside the 4 walls really does affect what you do and how you do it.
I think because we put God first, God allows us to do everything that we need to do.
Amen.
Because we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. And when God gives me an assignment, I want to complete that assignment. And no matter what that assignment looks like, we have to give it to God, and we got to allow Him to order our steps. And we have to remember that it doesn't have to be done today. When God gives us an assignment, that can be a lifelong assignment, or it can be a 5-minute assignment.
Amen.
But understanding your assignment and that season that it's supposed to be in, it just flows. When God is in it and God has anointed you to do things, it does flow, and you don't feel overwhelmed. Yes, I wear many hats, but I'm not a disgruntled person. I'm always smiling because God has ordered my steps.
Amen. And assignments, I like what you said about assignments, and that's another perspective that just clicked with me, is that some of us have assignments for 5 minutes. Some of us have a lifetime assignment. Some of us have assignment for 5 years, 10 years.
Absolutely.
But whatever God has assigned us to do, it's about allowing Him to order our steps.
Absolutely.
And to do that with gladness. Because the word says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God concerning you.
Amen.
And so I thank you. I thank you for sharing that and understanding that with those assignments. I think sometimes when God gives those assignments and those directives, we think, oh my God, how long am I going to have to deal with this? Or how long am I going to have to stay in this? Or how long am I going to have to suffer through this? But when we look at it from a perspective of it's an assignment. It's our assignment. It is what God has given us to do. Then we can move forward with that. And we can fulfill God's purpose, but we can also be happy in where we are. In where we are. And knowing there's time limits and there's seasons. We talk about seasons all the time, but I like the assignment.
Amen.
I like that. I like that. So one of the other things I know that you tell me a little bit about when you started Restoration Foundation, because God will give us things to do. He will give us assignments, but like you said, it's about planning and putting that plan into action and then trusting God to bring the manifestation. So how long has, tell me when God first gave it to you, and then what was your process in regards to establishing the 501c3?
What God gave me the foundation out of my own personal experience, and because I was a victim at one point in time of my life, I never wanted to be a victim of the entire time. So what God had gave me was to allow me to use all of that hurt and build a foundation, and that's how Restoration Foundation for Victims was birthed out of my own personal experience. And now I can let them know that you are no longer a victim, but you're victorious in everything that you do. And say something positive to yourself. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I do is say that I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. Period.
Amen.
And so that you can go ahead and move on with your day.
Yes.
And I had a wonderful person who helped me with working with my 501c3. We built it and got it done, Patricia.
Amen.
And she's also my grant writer. So
shout out to Patricia.
So she definitely has been very instrumental in help building Restoration Foundation for Victims.
Excellent. And so when did you first launch?
2011.
2011.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been in existence for 4 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know God is not done with you yet. He is not done with you yet.
Yes.
And we understand that there's more work. And I'm sure as you continue to work and walk in the steps that God has given you to, that there will be others that will come, that will undergird, that will hold up your hands so that the ministry and the mission can go forth. A little bit, I know our time is coming to an end. Share a little bit about what the mission is of Restoration.
To really restore.
Amen.
That is the main part of our mission, is to restore someone from an unhealthy state to a healthy state, and to expose things that we often sweep under the rug. We often think that rape is something that is embarrassing, but it's not. But once that is exposed, we can get healed from that.
Amen. I like what you had written as far as your mission, and you put it in 3 points. And I just wanted to share this in regards to Restoration Foundation for Victim. 1 is enhance public awareness about childhood molestation, rape, sexual assault in our communities. And like you said, a lot of times we sweep that under the rug. Yes. But your goal, one of your goals, your mission is to really bring awareness. So once there's awareness, there's healing. 2, help survivors communicate recovery of rape and sexual assault. Once again, it goes back to you have to talk about it and deal with it so that you can receive healing and you can restore. And then 3rd is assist in the prevention, healing, and elimination of sexual victimization through support, advocacy, thank you, and activism. And then 4, help limit, I love this, help limit the destabilizing effects of childhood molestation, rape, and sexual assault on victims, families, and communities. So those are awesome, wonderful missions. And so certainly we will be praying and continue to look forward to what God has for you, the assignment, and the others that will come, what He has for you. So we'd like to thank you once again for being a part of SWAG.
Thank you.
And joining us, Lady Kim, here at SWAG. And so once again, we just want to thank all of you for watching SWAG with Lady Kim. Certainly each time we get together, we're discussing real topics with real people, and we'd like to share and discuss these. And if you have a guest recommendation or a topic recommendation that you'd like for us to talk about, please contact us at www.ztministries.org. We value your input and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Be blessed.